Hi, this is Susan Norwell from Rett University, bringing another lesson for you all to work on with your kids, adults, students, whoever's sitting in front of you, called Communicating About the Past and Future. And the goals of this lesson is for us to all understand that communication is really essential for all of us. And that kiddos, I'm going to remind us all, I know you've heard this a million times, that kiddos, teens, adults, nobody can learn to communicate without modeling. That means that communication partners, parents, siblings, everybody that teachers, speech therapists, OTs, PTs, everybody who comes in contact with our kiddos needs to learn how to model. If they were deaf and in a deaf community, everybody would be signing to them. That's the model we need to think about when we think about AAC and communication. They cannot learn to talk about the future without modeling. They can't learn to talk about the past without modeling. So I want you just to think for a minute. You can only talk about the present because that's all you have learned. Just think about that for a minute. You can't share delight in the anticipation of something because nobody's taught you to talk about things that might be coming up. You can't even share your anxiety about something that might be coming up. You can't share a favorite experience from last year because nobody's taught you that that's a part of what communication is. We see these issues with our kids that are verbal and neurotypical but are in impoverished situations. They haven't been taught this part of discourse. So let's just think you're stuck in the here and now, right now. How much would you like to be stuck in this present right now? Kind of a frightening thought, isn't it? No, none of us would like that. We just wouldn't. So today we're going to look at 3 platforms of communication. I'm going to look at Sonoflex and their context and how we can use it. I'm going to say right up front, as much as I loved Sonoflex for a long time, I am no longer recommending it because it doesn't have a search function. Now that Grid 3, SuperCore 50 and 30 are out and the Early Learning 20 is out and they have a search function, and SNAP and Core Rett syndrome pages are available with a search function, then I can't in good conscience recommend something without that search function. I spend too much time in schools with staff that rotates or staff that changes. And without a search function, nobody ever gets up to speed. So we are going to look at Sonoflex because there's a lot of people that are still on Sonoflex. And if you are, it's because I probably haven't seen you in a while and I haven't started switching you over. So give me an email and we can work on that. Grid 3, we're going to look at SuperCore 50 and then we're going to look at the early learning sets of 20. Even what we would do with our 2-year-olds about talking about upcoming and past, because we certainly do. Tell Grandma what you did yesterday. And then SNAP and Core, the Rett syndrome pages. So let's do this. I'm going to demonstrate modeling strategies to parents and communication partners so we know how to talk about events in advance, things that are coming up. How do we talk about them? How do we talk about an event after the fact? And let's retell what happened. So stay put, and this is what our course, our short lesson is going to be about. Thanks. Okay, so I said I was going to start with Sonoflex, even given the caveat that I just mentioned. And I thought what we would do with Sonoflex is just take a look at how you have these contexts sitting over here. And this is my updated version of Sonoflex, and anybody's interested, they can write me and I will send it to them. But all of the layout has been changed, the describing words have been changed, and the contexts have all been made more uniformly, so words are in the same place across context. But let's say you're eating lunch. I would use this ability to stack contexts here and say, you know what, what's coming up, put my finger here, is Easter. Something we could talk about. And also, maybe you just played a really, considering this would be for a littler person, we just played a resounding game of Mr. Potato Head. And so that gives us two opportunities while we are modeling and talking about lunch, and they're telling us, you know, they want to eat and they're thirsty. And they would like to try some more, and this is their favorite. Or maybe it is not their favorite. And that might be a little too loud, so let me turn that down just a little bit. You don't need to hear it quite that much. But then I would quickly get them out of that, because really, do we sit around and talk about food all the time? I mean, you know, basically I say this is good, and then I talk about a million other things. So I could say, you know what, pretty soon it is going to be Easter. Easter Bunny. It's going to be time for Easter, and the Easter Bunny is coming, whether you talk about the Easter Bunny or not. We could talk about the fact that we're going to color. We're going to color next week. We're going to color some eggs so we get ready for Easter. We've got our Easter decorations. And I don't know, I like myself, I really like Easter. You know, and so you start to talk about what's happening, and if they say real, and we say, what do you think that is real? Here, if you're a Christian, you know, yeah, Jesus is real. Yeah, he is. The Easter Bunny, depending on the age of the child and your persuasion in terms of how you stretch. Personally, I tell my kids that the Easter Bunny was real for quite a while. You know, and that we're going to read a story about Easter. We can't go to church. We're not going to go to church, but we could watch church on TV. Everybody's doing church on TV these days. I'm even doing kids' church on TV. Let me know if you'd like to be a part of it. You can email me and I'll let you join our private group. So we've got a lot of things that we can talk about. You know, we can say, you know what, we can say Happy Easter. I think we're going to call Grandma and we can tell her Happy Easter, and we're going to we're going to make some eggs. Like I said, so they look like Easter eggs. And I know that you really like the Easter candy. That's my favorite, that's for sure. So that's about talking about something that's coming up. And I stress again that is so important, because how does one develop the cognitive construct, that ability to say, I can talk about something that I do not see. I can talk about something that's out of view. I can even talk about something that hasn't happened. That doesn't just occur to us. That's something that gets modeled culturally among all cultures in terms of language. We do that with small children. And if we don't do it within the context of AAC, then we're kind of cheating them. Now, if we played, it's like, oh my gosh, I with my mind, I remember. I probably have it down here. Yep.
Remember.
Sorry, I remember that we were playing Potato Head.
Mr. Potato Head.
We played Mr. Potato
Head. Mr. Potato Head.
You and I. And we had really
Mrs. Potato Head.
Mrs. Potato Head, because you picked Mrs.
Potato Head.
I remember that you picked her. Now, again, anything that they say, we're going to tie into what they've done. They do big. I said, yep, I know. You picked that big nose. That big nose on Mr. Potato Head. So now they can talk about it after the fact, and wouldn't it be cool that we don't just talk about it after the fact, after it just happened, but we bring it up at dinner. We bring it up at bedtime. We bring it up at various times, especially if it was silly and they had a lot of fun and they wanted to do it again and again. Personally, I like playing with Potato Head as long as people do it really, really silly. Oops, I'm sorry. Silly. And they put the pieces all in the wrong place. And then I think it's very funny. So just some ideas of what you could do in Sonoflex that would talk about things that are coming up or things that have already happened. And again, one of the things that I do like about Sono, and I'm trying to figure out how to emulate this in SuperCore, is I do like this idea that we can kind of group these contexts, which you can do by just knowing where your contexts are. But I actually am working on getting these contexts which I really like. Core words, specific vocabulary into supercore, because I do like that ease with which we can talk about a certain topic. Okay, so now I am going to get out of this, and I'm going to go down to Snap Core, and I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to go to, Supercore, Supercore. There's too many super snaps and cores. So if I was working with a very, very young child, so I have a couple of 2-year-olds that I'm working with, and one is an eye gaze user, one's a direct select, and I've been using these 20 cell, one on the iPad for my direct select, and this for my eye gaze user. And we started out doing all of this play. We could play, we were playing bubbles, and we're going to blow some bubbles. The only difference is that I did make the background of these on my version darker. I didn't upload that, but I have this. I'm going to show you really how fast it is to do it in grid. When I go to the grid and it says background, I make the background kind of like this steely gray. I think the black is a little bit harsh, but then I could say let's apply it to all the grids. And there we go. And so now I have it a little bit tweaked. And that just pops the colors right out for me. It doesn't kind of make everything all blend in. And so we can play with bubbles. We have some really nice things that they're able to do. And then what we have to do, only because of how this is set up, it's not linked into a system yet. We go back, and we can get to the different ones. So we could play bubbles, we could play potato head, we can play trains. But let's think about our little ones and how it's important for them to know what's coming up. And so, hey, in a little while, it is going to be time to go to sleep. I just want you to know it's going to be time to go to sleep. I think that you are looking kind of tired. Right? It's time to go to sleep. And mommy is going to stop. We're going to stop playing right now. We're going to go to your bed and we're going to read a story. You can choose the story. And I will read it to you. And then I'll say good night. And you can go to sleep. You know, and they're going to hop in and they're going to say, stop. You know, what? Not. Or good. Or whatever. And I'll be saying, well, if they say not sleep, I'll say, wait a minute, but you are tired. And it is time to go to sleep. First, we're going to read. And then you're going to go to sleep. Now look at how we just set that up with a lot of language before the event is to occur. And with very young children, we're talking about daily activities that they're going to be engaged in close to when they're going to happen when we're talking about the future. The younger the child, the closer the future and the past have to be to the present for it all to make sense. As kids get older, they develop this ability cognitively to be able to think a little bit further ahead and a little bit further behind. But I do really like this aspect of Supercore, Grid Supercore, because it's got these lovely, lovely things. And once we're sitting there at bedtime, we can also hit up here, go back. We can also say, oh, you know what? I remember it was so much fun today. You and I were playing with balloons. I remember that we played with balloons and you wanted me to let them go. You remember those balloons? They went up, up, up. And then it was gone. And you wanted me to blow one up again. And then I let it go. And it went up, 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 and down. So again, much simpler language, not as much language, not as many options, but we're still, even for our littlest ones, we are still talking about things that are coming up, and we are talking about things that just happened. All right, I'm going to reduce this. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not going to reduce this. Yeah, I am going to reduce this. I am. Okay. And we're going to look at SNAP. I'm trying to keep these lessons a little short because I think that we kind of need one thing to focus on, and this is definitely the before and after lesson is here. So now we're looking at SNAP plus core, and I did not show you the large version of super core, which I will do in a different lesson. I'm trying to really explore different aspects of different pieces of software so that you all understand the options that are out there. But let's say we're getting ready to go, we are going to get ready to read a book and say, you know what, I think that you and I are going to read a book. So I'm going to go to my verbs for read. We're going to read a book. And I'm going to go to school because there's a lot of school stuff in there. And I know book is going to be in there. School topics. And we've got reading. And sure enough, there's going to be the word book in here. In fact, here's our book words. And right there is going to be book. What I would probably do is I would probably, maybe, I don't know, put that symbol book right where. So we have book words. I would want book right there. So it was really consistent in terms of book and book words. And we're going to read a book. And now I'm trying to think about what book we should read. Should we read a funny book? Could read a funny book. Maybe we could read a fairy tale. Now we're, with a teenager, you think maybe we should read a romance book or
Science fiction.
And those of you who are really into nonfiction, maybe we could read an autobiography. So we can then be talking about what we're going to do. And after the fact, we could talk about the book. We could say, we were reading that book. We're sitting at the dinner table and everybody's eating. So let's go back here. Everybody's eating. And they're saying, okay, I'm really hungry. This is really yucky. And I don't like it. And I do not like this. It's just cold.
It's cold.
And I don't like it.
I don't like that.
But I go back and I say, I remember, and I don't even have to go back too far, really. I can say, you know what? I'm remembering what we did today is that we read. Wasn't that bad? That's supposed to be the past tense.
Read.
That's supposed to be read. We read a book. And the book, when we were reading that book, school topics, here's reading. When we read that book, I thought, or I was thinking, it was very, very sad. Yeah, we were reading about that woman's life. And there were some very sad things in her life that were very different from you and I. And she might say interesting.
That's interesting.
But you know what? It was interesting. But I think that was very, very, very difficult. It's a very difficult time for her. So what I'm doing basically is I am combining ideas so that I can be eating and talking about other things besides food. And again, I think that a lot of times we focus on mealtime as a time for them to say more. Tell me more before you get a bite, which is ridiculous. If somebody made me say more every time I wanted a bite of food, I'd probably bite them. But I think that what we need to do is help them develop some kind of discourse. What could they talk about? Maybe y'all went to the park. And so we can go back and say, oh, you know what? I'm remembering back that, here, core words. I remember that we went. Go. We went. We went to. Where are my places? We went to the park. So, community places. Actually, we wouldn't be talking about that much now. We went to the park. And you know, we did some fun things at the park. I remember moving. I remember that Mommy really ran very, very fast. I ran very, very fast. And you were laughing. So, here's where I don't know where laughing is, so I'm going to use my search button. I couldn't use my search button in Sonoflex because there is not one. And I didn't have to use it in my 20 grid because really it was only 20 words. If I couldn't find them, then I'd be pretty bad. Laugh under verbs, communication. Ooh, that's a good one. I would put it there. And there we have laugh.
Laugh.
You were laughing.
Laughing.
So hard. I. Clear so I can get to the I. I had.
Have.
I had. So nice to be working with a past tense. I had a great time. I had a great time. So, hopefully the word time is in here someplace. I had a great time. Should be in time. Time words. I just need the word time. Let's see if it's in time words. No. So let's look for it. I had a great time. Time. Main list, date and time. Okay, I probably missed it. That's so like me. Core words, date and time. Oh, there it is.
Time.
Time. So I had a great time with you. Little words. With you. And I know where it's in here. With you.
You.
So, just to kind of review, what I think that we need to start doing, even at the very simplest levels. Hold on, let me get here so I can. Even at the very simplest level, is we can talk about a past event with this little language. Kind of like the in-between of this is sonoflex, where we've got context, where we have context set up so that the language is around one thing, which makes it a little bit harder because there's more language, but not quite as hard as when we're looking at Snap Core. And we're doing a little bit more navigation around and in and out of context to get there. Now, if I was to show you Supercore 50, if I show you Supercore 50, this is my version. It's got the dark lines in between Supercore 50. Then you could see the same kind of thing where if I was going to be talking about a past event, I would be going into my describing words, and I would go into my places, and I would talk about my feelings, and I would have my descriptors that we're talking about a quality, or we're talking about how things looked, or how things tasted. And so we would be doing the similar things, and we still have a search function. But I wanted to show you going from the easiest to the hardest, how we could, in all of those situations, we could, Supercore learning, we were talking about sleeping, we could talk about what's coming up and what we've already done, no matter how simple the language is or how complex the language is. All right, good luck. Let's see if you can try this and work it out. Any questions, feel free to email me, all right? And I want you to remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. I spent 6 months to 9 months with one of my private clients working on, every time she came, I would pull up this page and say something happened and it was really good or it was really bad, and I would go through her talker and I would tell her an event that happened as a way of modeling a narrative. For 6 months, she never even went to these pages. Never, ever, ever went to these pages. And then one day she rolled on in and said, let me tell you what I think. Something happened. I said, oh, really? You're going to tell me what you think and something happened? It was fun. Oh my gosh, you are going to tell me about something fun that happened to you? Then she navigated to a story that we had done, a shared story about the big green monster. And she told me, I read the big green monster. I said, wait a minute. Something happened to you that was so fun, and it was the big green monster. We loved that story. And then she navigated to her family page and landed on her sister. Told me that something happened to her that was so much fun. They read the big green monster and she read it with her sister. So, Rome is not built in a day. Model, 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 and you will get the payoff, I promise. Here is the website for rettuniversity.org for more information. You can contact me. My information, my email is on the front page. This is Courtney Barnum's information. She is the person that really handles all of my organization, like getting me places on time and signing people up for things that they might want to do. So she is an amazing instructor at Rett University and does a lot of consults with kids, but also kind of keeps us all glued together. So I'm so grateful for her. So anyways, bye guys.